All right, this week, my expectations, or at least my suggestions this week, are to start planning out. You've done the local neighborhood walks, the up and backs, 10 minutes up, turn around, 10 minutes back. You've done them, hopefully twice a day. You've advanced to your local forest preserves, in Illinois at least. In other parts of the country, you can probably find a state park or some nature center around you. You've now come up, say you're bored with those two local places. Now you can start planning for your mini pilgrimage. Pilgrimage is what eventually we're going to do at the end of 12 weeks. And it's not only to get to a destination, it's to get to goal. Again, I remind you that to jump head first into rapid changes, rapid weight loss, aggressive activity is honorable, but you're going to have a high failure rate with that, or you're going to get injured. No one can sustain an 800 calorie a day diet. That's just the brain and its hormones will work against you to hunt at night. No one can sustain or jump straight into a 9-minute mile pace on the treadmill. So you have to build up to these goals. My suggestion is over 12 weeks, 3 months, you slowly incorporate different things. In this phase, or at least this week, I'd like you to start looking outside your local area and planning for, at least with regards to walks, whether you've adopted meditative walking, meditative hiking, or just getting out and doing 10 to 20 minutes up, 10 to 20 minutes back. You can use Google Earth, search for where you are and expand and try to find local areas where you just see patches of green or in the desert brown. If you see those areas, zoom in and hopefully you'll find a local preserve next to your wherever you live. This happens to be DrRic. This is about an hour and a half for me, but it's kind of the mini pilgrimage. It makes it interesting. Instead of I've kind of gone through most of the forest preserves in my suburbs, and this is I won't come here that often, but I'll use it to test out my endurance. I had to bring my snowshoes and my crampons here because I'm on ice now, but it kind of keeps me focused on the big picture. The big picture is the ultimate pilgrimage. This year it's going to be Zion National Park in Utah, and I'm training with several other people that are going with me. I'm leading a hike there, so that's my pilgrimage. It would get kind of boring, and it would probably be unsustainable to just do local places around my house. Plus, the elevation change in Illinois is flat, so you have to find places where you see canyons carved out from glaciers back in the ancient years. So this is mine. This is kind of cool. You can always use nature to keep things exciting for you. This happens to be the St. Louis Canyon. Kind of cool. And it's a nice reward at the end, just like what we're going to do at the end of 12 weeks. Hopefully, be rewarded with a lifestyle change that you'll daisy chain into the next 12 weeks or the next year. The idea is like the advice for tobacco cessation. It ain't just quitting. The idea of just cold turkey with something of an addiction is usually going to be wrought with failure. You really have to prepare. It just takes a little bit of planning, whether it's stopping tobacco, whether it's stopping sugar cravings, whether it's stopping eating after your evening shift, or whether it's stopping some other addiction that you have. It's these accumulation of addictions that usually lead us to heart disease, cancers, strokes, obesity, diabetes, and we kind of accumulate over the course of decades many different problems that culminate in seeing a doctor in your 50s and being labeled with all these diagnoses and also having to be on medicines or have aggressive surgery. The U.S. is great at rescue medicine. It's not so good for patients, but if you want to wait and you live in the U.S. and you take advantage of the government insurance, we'll probably survive. You'll probably be on a bunch of different medicines if you survive your surgery. But the idea is to get into health before that. Make the changes when you're young. So Hopefully at this time in your life you've made a couple, and we're on our way to that 12-week mark.
The supplement that I'm going to tell you to change around will be St. John's wort. I want you to try to increase to 600 milligrams 3 times a day. I want you to try to be really good with that. In addition, fish oil should be introduced if you hadn't started fish oil yet. Usually I'll tell folks you don't need krill unless you're trying to deal with a cholesterol issue. Just stick with fish oil. My favorites, I'll put a link to the fish oil talk I gave, but you'll know my favorites. You don't have to go expensive, and if you have an issue with the burping issue with fish oil, try to freeze it. Freezing the fish oil, you'll see all that stuff in the video. So we got St. John's wort increased to 600 milligrams 3 times a day. Fish oil, stick to about 1,000 milligrams daily, maybe in the morning. And then the other 2 that we talked about, Gymnema sylvestri, Curcumin picolinate, and then from last week, probiotic. Stick to all that stuff. I've had a couple patients or people tell me that they're trying to reduce their calories to 1,600 milligrams or 1,600 calories per day, and that's admirable, but that's too tight. If you're going to try to cut back fiber, cut out processed foods, stick to Ezekiel bread, stick to wheat, or cutting out gluten and not having so much wheat, it's going to be too restrictive. So all I want you to do is, again, read on that low glycemic index foods. Try to inject or try to slip in 9 fruits and vegetables, mostly vegetables per day at the end of the day. If you want to blend it, ninja chop it, that'd be fine because you still take the fiber in. And then keep on with the exercise routine as best as possible, like I mentioned in the first part of the video. Don't worry about getting too tight. We'll take care of that in the next 3-week part. At this point in time, again, we want to maintain what you got. We want to try to include some form of activity. Remember, if you get too tight with the calorie intake, too restricted, and then we start increasing on the activity, you're going to hit the wall. You're going to be increasing activity, your body's going to be asking for calories, and you're going to be too tight on the calories, so you're going to get injured and or fatigued. So not just yet. Please try to fight the urge to cut back too fast. If you have any detail, look on one of my, I'll put a post or a link on the video to fiber lecture, and try to review it and you get some ideas about fiber. The idea is to increase on satiety. That's going to be with fatty foods, fish oil, eating frequent meals. You do need a break between meals, but eating more frequently than you used to. And then trying to indulge in a low carbohydrate diet for now. We're going to switch over to a high carbohydrate diet later on. One more thing. So the few suggestions I have in this first 3 weeks is, number 1, try to stay away from meat. You can have, at least this is what I do. I think chicken's okay. Sometimes if you choose organic, better. Turkey's fine. Fish, definitely okay. Try to stay away from too many large predator fish because of the mercury. If you can stay away from dairy, same thing. Really important. If you can also, as I mentioned, increase on the fiber intake, and you're going to have to do a little bit of research on that. I'll put a link into a fiber website.